Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for coming. Now we will start a KGAP Plus Batch 6 Innovation RCA Challenge hosted by ATL. I'm Machiko Tatsumi from Business Development Office, ATL. KGAP Plus is a global acceleration program which attracts promising startups from Japan and abroad, with the goal of conducting a POC and pilot tests in collaboration with the Japanese enterprises. From batch 1 to 5, 63 startups from 9 countries have participated in the program, and 83% of startups up to batch 4 have been able to implement a POC or enter into collaborative discussions with the program support. Wonderful. Yeah, starting today, we will hold a 6 selection rounds where startups will challenge to participate in the upcoming batch 6. Today's Innovation RCA Challenge is a stage for startups supported by Innovation RCA. Innovation RCA is the incubator at the Royal College of Arts in London, UK, the world's top arts and design university. Dr. Albert Domanian, head of commercialization of Innovation RCA, will tell more later. So we are fortunate to meet with him and begin our collaboration this year. This Innovation RCA Challenge is co-hosted by Innovation RCA and cooperated by JETRO, Japan External Trade Organization. Thank you very much for your kind support. Well, let's get started. First, we introduce the KHANA Global Innovation Ecosystem and KGAP Plus, our program. The presenter is Dr. Hiroyuki Suzuki, Executive Vice President of ATL. He is also head of Business Development Office. Please.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much, Mark, for your kind introduction. And first of all, I'd like Albert-san, Raphael-san, and the 4 startups for making this event happen. We are really glad to step forward our collaboration with IRCA. Thank you very much. And as an opening, I would like to explain a bit about global innovation ecosystem in KHANA Science City. I'm Suzuki, Program Director of KGAP Plus. So KHANA Science City is located in the western part of Japan, more specifically in the middle of Kyoto, Osaka, Nara. And it looks like this about 30 years ago, but it developed quite rapidly and dramatically, and it looks like this now. There are more than 150 R&D related organizations, such as universities, research institute, and R&D centers of industries along the main street. And we are a key player of the Keihan region and composed of Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe, which was selected as one of the 4 global startup cities of Japan by the Japanese government last July. And you can see a lot of houses located near Research Institute. This is very important because you can count on these local residents to conduct POCs utilizing your service and project. In fact, during the last 15 years, the local residents are willing to participating in various type of POCs, which was carried out Research Institute in KHANA Science City in the field of smart city, such as energy, healthcare, agriculture, mobility, and municipal services. So if you come to KHANA Science City with our program, you can count on local residents to conduct POC on a real life basis, utilizing your services and products. And ATL is one of the leading research institutes in Japan, specializing in computational neuroscience and deep interaction science. It's a robotics and wireless and communications and life science. And we started the construction of global innovation ecosystem as one of the activities in business development. We utilize the two driving vehicles to make innovation in Keihan Science City, not only Keihan Science City, but also in Japan. And in fact, we have a very wide global research collaboration network. We have accepted more than 2,700 overseas scientists from 67 countries during the last 30 years. And 1/4 of our scientists is coming outside Japan. And we are accepting annually trainees from Stanford and MIT and Canadian universities via KGAP Japan program, and also from 2 grandes écoles from Paris. And with your country, we are collaborating closely with University of College London, University of Cambridge, Imperial College London, and University of Edinburgh. And about 4.5 years ago, we started the construction of Global Innovation Network. 4 years ago, we have only worked with 41 organizations in 4 countries. But our network grows quite rapidly and constantly. And now we are working more than 600 organizations, as written here. More specifically, we are working 619 organizations, including more than 220 overseas organizations in 23 countries. And our core partners are organizations in Barcelona, Israel, India, Canada, and USA, and New York City. In public sectors, we are closely working with Israel Innovation Authority, Barcelona Activa, the National Research Council of Canada, and JETRO, as well as in private sectors, a Confederation of Indian Industries, and NESCOM in India, and Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator in New York City. So what we try to achieve is first to create this type of 2-dimensional collaboration network with our core partners, acting Keihan Science City as a global startup hub. For instance, Barcelona startups participating in our program can find investors in New York City and can also strategic partners in Canada. And also we try to connect this collaboration network with Japanese market and the tech society. To realize this framework, we are now carrying out 2 types of activities. The first one is acceleration program called KGAP+, in which we will be joining, and also a business project creation program based on the issue of companies. The KGAP+ is an acceleration program conducted by ATL and Keihan Science City and composed of 3 parts. The first one is a local challenge, like today. We select totally 10 to 15 startups from 6 to 5 local challenges. And the main program lasts 3 months. And we make a first 2 weeks intensive interviews of startups, what kind of business you want to do in Japan, and what types of technology you have. And we start the connection then with Japanese industries during these 3 months. And we will finish this main program by the demo day in 3 months. And we select normally 5 startups to give them a special program by our global partners. So our goal is conducting a POC or pilot testing with Japanese enterprises. So our acceleration program was co-hosted and cooperated by various global organizations, as shown here. Our core partners, of course, and the local governments in Japan, and the embassies, and the financial sectors, and industries, and investors, and law firms. They supported us very much. They supported us very much. Thank you very much. And the management team was composed of 3 guys of ATL, and we have very good mentors. they have their own background in business, in law, in financial sectors, and they try to connect global startups with their networks so that you can count on them to be connected with Japanese enterprises. Up to now, we have finished the 4 batches and now carrying out a batch 5. And we have accepted totally 63 startups from 9 countries, as shown here. And if you divide these 63 startups in terms of field of technology, we can have 15 types of field of technology. You may feel we have startups with too much variety fields of technology. This is because we do not restrict any field of technology. We request startups only for 2 types of requirements. The first one is you need to have enough, you need to have service and product enough to do POC with Japanese companies. And the global startups need to have an interest, a business in Japan. And Japanese startups need to have an interest, a business outside Japan. That's the only request for us for global startups. So some example of POC accomplishments before COVID-19 spread. That was carried out in batch 1 2 years ago. Left-hand side, that together is an Israel startups made a very good POC with Kakentos Hospital. That is a core hospital in Keihan Science City in music therapy for patients with dementia. Another example is the Astem. It's a Japanese startups made a POC with Nara-Kotsu bus line to detect sleepiness of drivers by brain activities. And other types of POC has been successfully carried out in batch 1 and batch 2, batch 4. So our KPI is the matching rate of startups with Japanese companies. We have finished batch 1 to 4, as I mentioned. And during the 4 batches, we have accepted totally 48 startups. Among 48 startups, 40 startups, that is equal to 83%, has been successfully matched with Japanese companies. And some example are shown here. You have the name of the big companies, as the small companies located in Kyoto area. So you can count on these companies to be connected by our acceleration program. So as I mentioned, we are now carrying out a batch 5. That was started in June with a local challenge with India. And we had 5 local challenge and totally selected 15 startups. And we started a main program at the end of July. And as I mentioned, we made intensive interviews during the first weeks and start matching with the participated startups with Japanese companies. And we will finish the main program in about 1 month, November 12th, having a demo day at the occasion of Kyoto Smart Expo. And fortunately, our today's partner, InnovationRCA, accepted to take 2 startups for their special program. That's really good news for us. And today, we start a local challenge of KGAP plus Batch 6 with today's event with InnovationRCA. That will be followed by local challenges with India, Japan, and Canada, Europe, and Israel until November. And we will start the main program somewhere in the middle of maybe November and finish this program in February with a demo day, maybe held in Osaka area. And we will select about 15 startups for main program. This is another platform for us called Cosign. This is a company's issue-driven platform. And based on the company's issue, HR tried to construct the best effort team, which was composed of sometimes global startups and university professor in Japan to solve the issue affordably and quickly. We had carried out totally 9 types of projects. And if you count on the program, last 2 years, totally 11 projects has been successfully carried out. Project title means the issue, and which was requested by the company, as shown here. And ATL constructed a best effort team. It was shown right-hand side. We counted on Israel startups as well as Japanese startups in some projects. So one example is shown in number 3, which was worked with Toray Construction. They started actually sand culture, in which they use sand instead of soil, and they want to have a scientific evidence that sand culture is effective in reducing your stress level. So we started the hunting of startups in Israel and Silicon Valley. And we first selected by documents and then visited 2 countries and interviewed directly with startups and took them to Keihan Science City to do POC. And the startups we selected has a technology to measure digitally your stress level based on their facial expressions and voices and the brain waves and vital data and breath. And what we found is that the elegant monkeys, which was located in the bottom of the right-hand side, is the most suitable for this purpose. So we signed an agreement on joint implementation with the Toray Construction, the elegant monkeys, and ATL. And we started a bigger scale POC in May with somewhere around 200 subjects. And what we found is actually the sand culture is effective in reducing your stress level. So the Keihan Science City used to be a place for only a basic science, and scientists willing to write a paper, they do not show any interest in implementation of their technology into real life. But the Keihan Science City has been changed dramatically. Now we have key technologies for new era, such as aging and the new normal life and societies. And the Keihan Science City is becoming a place for implementing a state-of-art technology in human life. So I request you to help us together, to work together, to further implementing the state of technology or maybe design to real life, to realize a better human life. And we will have a very big event in 4 years in this district, Expo 2025, Osaka, Kansai, to which we are, ATL and the Keihan Science City, are expected to contribute quite substantially. So you may have a chance to join this big event in terms of POC or presenting your state of design and technology. So to work in more detail based on the company's issue, together with global startups, we launched a new company called Cross-Border Innovations this February, together with 3 ATL members. It's a core members of KGAP Plus, as well as 2 members outside ATL. Our business is composed of basically 2 parts. There's an acceleration program based on companies' issue. To solve it, we, for instance, search some companies which have a technology suitable for solve the issues. And we can also invest not only Japanese startups, but also global startups based on the quality of you may do with Japanese companies. What I mean is we can utilize the POC with Japanese companies. It's as a kind of a screening process to find good startups for investment. So there are 6 major benefits of Keihan Global Innovation Ecosystem for startups. The first one is you can be matched with Japanese enterprises. You can conduct a POC with Japanese enterprises. You can find Japanese strategic partners. You will be connected with leading global innovation partners. You can raise funds from Japanese investors, including ourselves. You can even do R&D with leading Japanese research institutes, including ATL. Okay, thank you very much for your listening and enjoy this event today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suzuki-san. Yes, we are happy to introduce our ecosystem and the program overview. Okay, next, InnovationRCA term. So I would like to introduce Dr. Albert Domania, Head of Commercialization of InnovationRCA. He will show us about InnovationRCA and investor readiness program to us. Please.
Thank you very much. Good evening and good morning to the UK joiners. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you, Suzuki-san, as well. Let me share my screen and I'll take you through a brief introduction of... So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So I'll go fairly quickly. Some of you may already have seen this, and my colleague Rachel Channa will also be joining us to cover two of the slides. So a bit of history of the college. We were founded in 1837 and founded actually as the Government School of Design. The RCA was not given that name until 1896, so a while ago. We have a long history of working in design and the arts generally. The college, for example, was quite active in the Great Exhibition of 1851, the first one of its kind. Today, we operate across several sites in London. Our main site is in Kensington. You can see there, just adjacent to the Royal Albert Hall. We ourselves, and in fact me today, are operating from Battersea, from the Dyson building. And right next door, we are building a new campus, which is, we're calling the Battersea South Campus, which is very close to being ready. We should be moving in a couple of months. So that would have a tower, new facilities, and very importantly for InnovationRCA, will roughly double our size and floor space. This is what the Dyson building and the incubator looks like at the moment. InnovationRCA itself was founded in 2004. So we've been operating for 17 years, turning design-led, user-centered RCA innovation, mostly from students, graduates, into successful businesses. These are our stats. We're very proud of the numbers that are on there. We're particularly happy, of course, of the amount of investment that our startups have secured. And in fact, to this day, this number's increased recently, and we're close, if not just slightly above, to £100 million raised in investor funds with the success of this year. We have a high female founder ratio, and that is getting higher again with this intake. And one number we're particularly proud of is our startup survival rate, which is 71%, is much higher than the national average, which is much closer to, which is around 50%. So we're very proud of that. This is a slide, excuse me, I think I missed, there we go. So I wanted to take you through some of the programs. So there we go. We essentially run two types of programs. They're mainly internal programs, a patent support program to protect IP. We have a startup incubation program, which includes the investor readiness training that Rachel Channa is going to talk to you about. We run a very successful creative brand accelerator that has won the Accelerator of the Year, been named Accelerator of the Year for 2 years now. We also run a First 50 program, which is a program which helps us connect and stay in touch with those companies that we have incubated and that have successfully scaled up. We also run a series of external programs with different sort of audiences and clients in mind. So we provide some customized incubation and mentoring for incubators abroad. We have a program of entrepreneurship development for founders and very early stage startups. We provide innovation development, particularly for corporations, for industry, for large institutions, so that they can establish and exploit corporate innovation and corporate venturing. Finally, we also offer a soft landing program, which is a way of hosting non-UK startups to InnovationRCA to allow them to test the UK market for up to 9 months. That gives them access also to the facilities, so it gives them space, and it gives also them access to mentoring as well and our network. Another way of looking at this is really with this graph. So you've got the internal programs on the top, the external programs at the bottom. Along the top there, you've got essentially the progression of the companies from students, alumni, and staff, founding seed startups, maturing the startups, being presented to investors and raising investment, scaling up, and then on the right, you've got the companies and organizations. So this is roughly the sequence. We start with patent support, our main program of incubation, but also the Creative Brand Accelerator. We run the Angel Club RCA network, which is our network of over 60 investors worldwide, based internationally. And finally, the First 50 program, which is for our scale-ups, incubatees, ex-incubatees. In terms of external programs, as I said, we've got the incubation support for incubators, where we deliver essentially our expertise. We've got the soft landing programs for startups that are not from the UK, but are interested in testing the UK market. We've got the entrepreneurship development that really spans from students all the way to investors, and that's for individual and early stage startups. And very importantly, we've got the innovation development program for corporations and companies to help them develop new products and services, iterate those models, iterate those design, and really find a way of exploiting corporate innovation and corporate venturing. All of these external programs, by the way, I should add, we customize, so we deliver bespoke. This is a slide showing you the selection of the clients we've had over the years. We ran several programs that in fact gave rise to the Innovation Development and Entrepreneurship Development Program. For example, in 2016, we ran, the Korean government actually approached us wanting to train 10 of their startups, which we did. And we did that in partnership with the Korean Institute of Startup and Entrepreneurship Development. Some of those startups went on to the soft landing program, and we hosted them at InnovationRCA in London. We ran a program for Kuwait as well, for the Kuwait Foundation of Advancements of Science in 2017, and we had a range of very large corporations that we trained and worked with to develop their new services which have been, some of which have been implemented and very successfully. We've worked locally as well. We work quite closely with the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital on healthcare and well-being solutions, and with the Royal Society of Medicine. We've run hackathons with them in 2018. More recently, we've run a creative SME support program in partnership with the British Council, and we've done that in Kuwait. We trained around 20 creative SME founders over a period of several weeks, and are continuing our collaboration with them. So at this point, I'd like to invite Rachel Channer, Head of Commercialization, to talk to you about the investor readiness training.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. In the time-honored fashion, Albert, next slide, please. Thank you. I want to talk to you very briefly about our investor readiness training program, which is a key part of our startup program. Just to give you some context, the startup program itself is very heavily geared towards companies that have developed intellectual property, maybe have filed for a patent or are thinking about developing a patent. So they're developing very complex technical products, all of which, as many of you entrepreneurs out there will know, take a great deal of time to get to prototypes and then to bring to market and so on. So, and it takes anything up to 18, maybe 24 months in some cases. So as we all know, time does cost money. We're also aiming, as part of our sort of strategy overall, to develop companies that will operate on a global scale, maybe not initially, but over time. And again, that's going to take, to develop international reach, that takes time and investment. So therefore, the sort of companies that we're dealing with do need to raise quite substantial sums of money to achieve the sorts of objectives that they have in the areas of product development and market activity and so on. Typically, when the companies sign up on our startup program, they sign up an agreement with us that runs for 12 months. During that time, they have a sort of structured program of coaching, mentoring, etc., and it culminates with the investor readiness training program. We give them a little bit of cash when they join us, or maybe some of our investment partners will give them a bit of cash, or they perhaps raise some money themselves. But once they've been with us for 8-9 months, the business model has really come together. They really know what they want to do, and at that point, they're ready to raise money. So at that point, that we train them up to put them in front of investors. Ideally, they'll have an MVP, a prototype, but it's not always the case. But hopefully, they'll have a bit of traction in the marketplace as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we put them through a rigorous program. It runs for 5 weeks. Those are the dates up there that we proposed to run next year. They have 10 sessions altogether, 2 sessions a week. Most of them are 45-minute sessions with one of our external advisors and one of our team. And then they'll also have a couple of half-day sessions as well, where we just introduce them to finance and how to present their business plan and work on their presentation skills and so on. Now, the real focus of it, obviously at the end of it, we want them to have a really nice, concise, compelling pitch story that they can put in front of an investor, and that they can put it across on a personal basis in a confident way. And we also want to put a credible team in front of investors as well. They don't really like to invest, as you know, in individuals. They really want to invest in a team. So we spend a bit of time on that as well. But in going through those sessions with each of the teams, what we're really doing is focusing on the business model itself, the robustness, and trying to develop a watertight business model in terms of the offer, the differentiation, the routes to market, the pricing strategy, the differentiation strategies, etc. Maybe some partnerships and stuff around distribution and so on. But what we're really doing as we go through each of those sessions is working really hard with the founders on putting together a really solid business plan. Once we've been through the process, we'll select, not all of them, but a number of them, to present at pitch events that we then organise during sort of April, May, June time. I say not all, simply because some of them, as you go through that process, not all of them will make it through, because we suddenly realise that there's an element of the business model that really just hasn't been thought through, and perhaps they're ahead of the game, and we need to do some more market research to find out really what the opportunity actually is. But we'll always select, the majority of them will go forward to our pitch events. Either, as I mentioned, we have our Angel Club network. We also have some investment partners that we work with as well, so we put them in front of those guys as well. And just to say that when we're running next year's program, we're looking forward to inviting 2 of the startups from Batch 5 to come on that program as well. So we're looking forward to a demo day next month, and then running a pitch event subsequent to that. So that's our investor readiness training program at InnovationRCA.
Thanks very much, Rayful. I'm now going to take you very briefly through a few slides showing the sort of startups that we've incubated, give you a flavour of a little bit of the companies that we've put through the program. I hope you can see that slide. This is just a general description to give you a flavour of the range of companies that we've worked with or are working with. Very much like ATR, we like to cover a broad range of sectors, and we like to say that we're actually sector agnostic. So more specifically, I'm going to mention here, for example, a company called the Tire Collective, which is a company that's currently incubating, a very interesting company that's spearheading the capture and monitoring of tire wear pollution to improve air quality. So they're capturing the particulates that come off wheels, for example, including wheels from electric vehicles. It's a particularly significant problem in that scenario. Jiva, the Bertum, is a company that's developed a fully biodegradable printed circuit board alternative that's made from flax. It's very easy to dissolve the substrate and to recover the components, so it makes recycling much more possible. And it deals with the very, very significant problem of recycling of electric and electronic components. They secured, by the way, 1.2 million in investment and grants last year. They're doing very well and won a number of prizes. In a completely different area, so the area of textiles, for example, we can mention Ananas Anam has been a good success story. The founder developed, during her PhD actually at the RCA, developed a process to make vegan leather, vegan alternative to leather from fibers that were extracted from pineapple leaves. And in the process of doing that, of course, created a new revenue stream for those farmers. What would tend to happen is that those leaves, instead of getting used, would actually be burnt, generating CO2. So there's a very positive environmental impact to doing this. The company now collaborates with brands such as H&M, Hugo Boss, and Hilton Hotels. They raised 1.5 million in 2020 to fund their expansion, and at that time the company was valued at 13 million pounds. A more recent example, a company we're incubating at the moment, is Neat Regen. It's a smart textile startup that's developing a textile component that people wear, and it will help with physiotherapy and rehabilitation of stroke. The founders secured seed investment and a UK Research and Innovation Fellowship worth 1.2 million. And that was again last year. NetToken in a completely different area, so much more digital and fintech. NetToken is a company that develops software to control our expanding digital exposure. Quirk is a personal finance app that uses personality testing and psychometrics to help young professionals adopt better financial habits, behaviors. In this agri-tech space, for example, we've got a company called Olumbria. We've incubated a company called Olumbria. They're an early stage agri company working to enhance pollination rates and crop yields. And the way they do that is by using chemicals, organic chemicals I have to add, to attract and work with other pollinators that can substitute for these. Zelp is a company that just recently left the incubator, very successful. They've developed a device that is wearable and that reduces the methane emissions from cattle. So it's very of interest, obviously, to the livestock industry at the moment. And we know that methane from cows, for example, contributes to about 40% of the total livestock industry emissions, which is very significant. They have just completed a $10 million Series A investment round, so very, very, very successful there. And finally, on a completely different note, we've got a company called Buffalo Grid. Buffalo Grid are on a mission to connect the next billion to the internet by offering offline streaming. So they've developed a solar-powered hub that makes phone charging and digital content available to all in rural communities, in particular in rural India. They raised 800,000 in 2020 and are looking to enter new markets across Africa. And Plumis is developed a new solution to fire suppression. So what they developed is actually a retrofittable device that, instead of generating sprays of water, just uses very fine mist to control and extinguish fires with much less damage to the infrastructure and equipment in the rooms. And one of the aspects of that device is that it detects where the fire is and aims the mist at the fire. anyway, I hope that gives you a feel for the sort of startups, the breadth of sectors that we cover at InnovationRCA. Makiko-san, thank you very much. I'll stop sharing and over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Albert. Yeah, we are very glad. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to host our startup. So yeah, very glad to start a collaboration. Yeah, so yes, let's move to pitching from startups, InnovationRCA startup. So we are also happy to meet your startups, yeah, to KGAP Press. Yes, so June, are you ready? Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, yes. So the first company is Amphibio. Amphibio is developing the super hydrophobic porous membrane to create artificial wearable zero. Yeah. Material field. So please start your pitching.
Okay, let me share my screen now.
So audience, please send a question and a comment into a question and the answer box on the Zoom window. You will see the Q&A box. After pitching, I will read out the question and the startups will answer on the spot. So Jun, are you ready, please?
Yes, hello. So nice to meet you. I'm Jun Kamei. As you can guess from my name, I'm actually Japanese, and I am actually in Japan because I have a business trip. Yeah. So we make 100% recyclable outdoor textile. And why is it? For those who are outdoor enthusiasts like myself, I'm pretty sure you've been using Gore-Tex in the past. The good thing with Gore-Tex is that they protect you from the rain, it's breathable. The bad thing is they pollute. So you have every year more than 300 million square meter of non-recyclable, waterproof and breathable textile. And for those who are in London, that's actually like more than Hyde Park, but 200 times the surface area of Hyde Park. So it's huge. And it's not only that. So on top of not being recyclable, this type of waterproof breathable garment are using a coating which is called a PFC coating, which is a environmentally toxic coating, and also uses a membrane for the waterproof and breathable product, which is made from a material called PTFE, and that can also be toxic when burned. So that's where we come in. So our product, Amphitex, remove all of those problems by making the different layers that constitute the waterproof and breathable textile out of just one material, which is very water repellent, which does not use any harmful PFC chemical. We are able to make something that is 100% recyclable, which does not have any PFC harmful chemical, and then no PTFE in the membrane. We have 3 patent pending technology which covers the different component of this performance textile. And we are the only one in the market which cover both performance and sustainability, where our competitors are either more catered toward performance or sustainability. So we're targeting the EU and UK waterproof and breathable textile market because there's an advantageous regulatory landscape. So EU is looking into the ban of PFC chemicals, and also they're putting a lot of pressure on outdoor brands for the end of life responsibility of the outdoor garment product. Our business is actually to target those outdoor brands. So we are going to license our technology at 5% royalty on sale price of £400 per jacket. And in terms of team, we cover all of the skills that are necessary for the R&D and the commercialization. Just a really quick word about myself. I am a specialist in water and oil repellent material. I have Dr. Graham Bratton, who's a serial entrepreneur and chartered chemist. I'm joined also by advisors such as Professor Stephen Russell, who's a professor and specialist in performance textile. In terms of achievement traction, we've gathered enough money to cover all of the R&D to commercialization. We're not too far from scale manufacturing, and we are at the final stage of negotiating a paid pilot. In terms of pipeline, if we convert 2 or 3 brands from the brand that you see right now, we will be able to reach break even, which is a really good thing. And we'll be able to hit 4.5 million profit in 60 months based on our financial model prediction. So thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in what we do, please do reach out to us.
Thank you very much, Jun. Great presentation. Okay, you got 1 question. Oh, 2 questions. Yeah, let me read it. What kind of Japanese companies are you looking to collaborate with? And do you have any plan to set up a Japanese office to develop your business?
So yes, I mean, I would like to have a base here, definitely. I mean, we have started engaging with some textile company based in Japan. So obviously people who could help us distribute or who could kind of be our client, then we'll definitely be interested in working with.
Wonderful. No more questions. Okay, you got another one. It's a very interesting material. Yes, it's very interesting. Yes, do you have any prototype that you can propose? Is it the form of clothes?
So we mainly provide in form of like textile. So we don't really make the clothes ourselves. Depending on the size, the time frame for us to prepare that for a new client will be different. But yes, there's a few things that we can start providing. For example, like it's easier for us to provide the first layer, which is just the woven fabric. And then a bit longer time frame, we can laminate the membrane on the back so that you get like a full waterproof visible textile.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Oh, one more. Yes. How cost competitive is your product against competitors at the volume?
So we still need to kind of, check the assumption of what the price will be on scaled up. But based on the cost of the material, there's nothing that suggests that it will be more expensive than our competitors.
Okay, great answer. Okay, so maybe you have more questions, so please check the question and answer box at all the time. All right. Oh, thank you very much, Jun. Yeah. Okay. Next page is from Shaco Neurotech. Lucy, your turn. Okay.
Yes, hello. Hi. Can I just check if you can hear me and see the screen?
Great. Wonderful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Hello. Hi, everyone. If I may start by sharing one of the stories when I was back in IRCA and Imperial College. In 2013, I met a gentleman who was saying that he's very happy right now, but he looked angry and people think he's angry all the time because Parkinson's disease made his face stiff and he lost his smile. Shaco Neurotech have been developed to bring those smiles back for people with Parkinson's. And fast forward in 2021, we went to Jen and Tony. Tony's the gentleman who have Parkinson's, suffered for multiple years. And as you can see on his face, although he's trying to pose to the camera, he's not able to smile. We gave our device Q1, a medical device, and a few months later, he sent us this photo. On his sternum, you'll be able to see his Q1 device that Shaco developed and a massive smile. So today I'm going to explain to you how did we bring the smile back for Tony and how we aim to bring smile for millions around the world. Unfortunately, currently there are 10 million people around the world who are suffering from Parkinson's. It is fastest growing neurodegenerative condition that unfortunately does not have cure. Shaco is developing a medical device and AI-driven solution to improve their care and life for their family. We are CE marked, we are ISO 13485 certified, and our patents are filed. Up to date, we have raised over 800K with really reputable ventures. We are currently closed with our current round that is yet to be disclosed. So unfortunately, I cannot disclose that today. But we raised enough so that we can scale up our production. We are supported by IRCA, like here, and with Imperial College and University of Cambridge and Crick institutions. So we get lots of support from the UK. We do love partnering with foreign companies as well as the organizations. And this is why we're very keen to actually learn more about ATR and see the opportunities in Japan, because we are actually at that point of stepping into Japan's, there are 150K people in Japan who are suffering from Parkinson's. So when we actually started getting into Parkinson's, we went to talk with lots of people, asked them what are the issues. Firstly, movement symptoms of stiffness, slowness, and tremor really limits their daily activities. Going for a walk, making a cup of tea, just becomes very, very challenging. Secondly, like any other medication, taking medication is very challenging. But for Parkinson's, if you do miss that time, then the symptoms will start kicking in, putting you into a really dangerous situation. So it's really important to take medication on time. Thirdly, tracking symptoms of Parkinson's is very difficult because there are over 70 symptoms for Parkinson's, not only motor symptoms, but non-motor symptoms as well. So you can imagine that 10 minutes or 15 minutes of consultation is just not enough for clinicians to get insight into their daily life. So we identified these problems and created Q1 device and QApp. The device sits on the sternum using medical adhesive, using combined of scientifically validated We worked on lots of measures, including daily activity, objective measure, and clinical measure, and qualitative measure to ensure that the Q1 is developed for people with Parkinson's. Just to take one example, the Unified Parkinson's Disease Rating Scale is the golden standard to evaluate Parkinson's. Points improvement when in clinic development to cause a significant improvement. The device, the application right now is showing a strong correlation between the game and clinical measure. You can see the R value of 0.87 showing a very, very strong correlation between our game and the clinical measure. Furthermore, you can see the diagnostic accuracy of this people with Parkinson's and healthy cohort is very, very strong as well. So this is an active development that we're currently doing with over 5,000 data that is currently collected, and we are collecting every single day. So we're developing a queue system for people with Parkinson's, their care, and improve their quality of life. Currently, there are medications and surgery. However, they are invasive. There are some devices that they've been looking into improving their lives, but Charcot device is the only device to improving multiple symptoms in one non-invasive device too. And we're currently also seeing longer-term effectiveness of the Q1 device. So that is our USB. We are just about to launch in about 2 months, but up to 5,200, and this is increasing every day. The community is really large. We've got over 11K now, the community supporting our journey. So Charcot is actually built by and with people with Parkinson's. We're currently aiming to launch with B2C, but we are working on clinical trials and health economic analysis to get into B2B so we can work directly with the hospitals and NHS. Once again, we are very keen to get into Japan market as well. There are lots of people with Parkinson's, and also with the aging, Parkinson's is becoming a massive issue in Japan. So we would love to engage with ATR. I believe the time is a little bit tight, so I will skip to our team. Our team is combined individuals with a strong vision of improving quality of life, really diverse with the backgrounds of coming from medics all the way to developers, physics, and analysis. So we are all gathered together and guided with incredible directors and consultants who are helping to make sure that our direction is correct. So together, we are always working every day to bring smile back for people with Parkinson's. And these smiles that we see from individuals is where all our motivation comes from. So thank you very much. Any questions are very much welcomed.
Thank you very much, Yushi. Yeah, sometimes the connection is not very good. It's not, but it's fine. Okay, we are waiting. Okay, you got one question. One more question, but one by one. Is the battery rechargeable? How long will it run continuously? Should the participant wear it while they are asleep?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Question. So yes, the battery is rechargeable. As you can see, the docking, if you can see my screen, the docking is the charger. So the device is sitting in the device to the charge. So it is rechargeable. It takes about an hour to fully recharge, and the battery will last for 7 hours if you're using it continuously with the maximum stimulation. So people would be using it for all day and then charging it while they're sleeping. It's completely up to them whether they use it while they're sleeping or not, but we are seeing the trend that everyone uses it through the whole day, and overnight they will be recharging it and placing it back to their sternum in the morning.
Great device. Okay, the another question about yes. Yeah, you were seeking you are trying to expand your business in Japan. So are you thinking of working with Japanese doctors? Collaborating with a medical professional in Japan is very important for medical device certification.
Absolutely. So yes, that is the case. So as mentioned, we currently closed our round, and one of our investors is Japanese based, and we are very much keen to really expand our network in Japan and working together with doctors to get the certification. So that is absolutely spot on. So thank you for that question. So if you do know anyone who will be interested, please let us know.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much, Yushi. Yeah.
Not at all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, the third company, James. Your turn. State is yours. The name of the company is Lightwork Bikes. Lightwork Bike is creating a new generation of elastical holding bicycles. Yes.
That's right. Great. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, full screen, please. Yes, beautiful.
Great.
Go ahead.
So hi, I'm James, the founder of Lightwork Bikes. Thanks so much for this opportunity today. It's great to be presenting to the ATR. We're creating small bikes for big adventures. Lightwork is the modern, compromise-free way of getting around for leisure and commuting, showcasing contemporary design in a space which has not evolved in decades. It's lightweight, practical, and easy to store. We are developing patentable IP around the frame structure to create a folding e-bike and a folding bike without the weight. For many people, space constraints in the home and the necessity for multimodal journeys make folding bikes and folding e-bikes a great solution. But they have their own problems. In particular, flex and outdated geometry contribute to a nervous riding experience, and excess weight limits portability. The benchmark product and its new electric variant has largely had the market to itself for 40 years. It's a market ripe for disruption. As a car and bicycle senior designer, I've created some fantastic products for amazing brands, including Bentley, Dyson, Decathlon, Moulton, and Scott. These experiences make me remember the importance of innovation and quality. With Lightwork, it's my ambition to market original and superior products in the cycling space. Japan is home to incredibly relevant technology for cycling manufacturers. Shimano is the world's largest cycling company and my preferred component supplier. Toray is the world's largest composites materials supplier and my preferred materials supplier. Bridgestone and Tyrrell are potential licensees for the Lightwork design, renowned for quality. And Japan has other component suppliers who are equally important, including Panaracer and Katai for the lighting legislation worldwide. I'm sure also that the ATR will bring new companies to my attention that I'm not yet aware of. But it's not lost on me that two of the companies I've worked for have licensed their designs for manufacture in Japan. James Dyson has shown how Japan's openness to new technology can be a key platform in the growth of the company. And Alex Moulton has shown that Japan's appreciation of good design endures. Japan's high rate of urbanization has created a sophisticated culture which values space efficiency, health, and well-being. Because of this, small wheel bicycles dominate the cycling market. Japan is therefore a key test bed for the launch of a new folding bike company. The market itself is big and growing fast worldwide. Electric bikes are the strongest growing segment in cycling. We believe electric assist is the way forwards because it further enhances the convenience of folding bikes, and at launch we will offer an electric and a human power bike. Since the pandemic began, we're avoiding public transport and using bikes more for recreation as well as commuting. With our Great Ride and folding functionality, Lightwork has a breadth of appeal for commuting and leisure. No product today delivers the key customer requirements of compact folding size, lightweight, rigid structure, and luggage carrying capacity. And this is true for the electric derivatives or for the human power derivatives. From Formula One, product, and automotive, I've brought together a sensationally talented team with market-leading experience in innovation, composites, and class-leading design execution. I've also gained some great advisors with expertise in going to market and production. I'll continue to build out the team at the right time to support our milestones. To establish the brand and prove demand, we'll be launching in April 2022 on Indiegogo. Our expectation is to sell at least 300 bikes. For reference, across the 18 bicycle crowdfunding campaigns that there's been, the average number of units sold is actually 2,700. Indiegogo will prove the market demand, which in turn will help us secure agreements with distributors, hopefully in Japan. We want to get the product into retail spaces, as being able to demonstrate the product in store is still critical for many customers. These are our first 7 milestones. We're currently refining the design in advance of our production intent prototype. In terms of our customer engagement strategy, we've recently completed a customer survey, which has already proved insightful learning, and we're now feeding that back into our product development and later our branding strategy. Here you can see our projections until 2024. We're aiming to initially triple the units sold year on year. Thanks so much for your interest in our story. I hope that together we can make light work of urban mobility.
Okay, James, thank you very much. Great performance. Okay, you got 2 questions. Let me read out. The first one. What is a key factor that enables you to accomplish readiness and lightweight small form factor?
So the key factor is the materials we're using and the shape in which we're developing the frame structure. Composites enables a freedom of shape that metal tubes cannot give. A folding bike is very challenging in terms of the complexity and also the design compromises that need to be made. In terms of what we call packaging, it's very complicated. There's a lot to fit in. But by working with composites, we can really optimize that package in an automotive way. And so this is really the new approach that's really relevant to the folding bike. Yeah, so I hide the images in some places because I'm shortly going to be applying for, sorry, Maki, I didn't mean to jump to
James, yeah. Audience didn't see the question, so let me read out the second question. Why do you hide some places in your pictures? I suppose that there must be your important technologies.
Yeah, the rear of the bike in particular will be unique, and I will be applying for a patent very shortly around that next month. But the design, obviously I don't have the patent yet, so it's important that I get that patent, and the design is just changing. It's very much pinned down, and I'm probably 3 weeks away from having the design submitted, but I need to just get that patent completed before I can share the design at the rear of the bike in particular.
Okay, your answer related to the next question. So do you have any patent? Yeah, and in order to get users to think that your bicycles are more fun than conventional bicycles, it is necessary to get more people to actually ride them. For this purpose, what kind of a way are you taking to achieve this?
So my bike will be a more fun, better riding bike than any other folding bike. And this is as a virtue of the lightweight and also of the rigid frame structure. Okay, so it will ride as good as a full-size regular bike, an urban bike. But I'm currently doing some testing with existing bicycles in Germany, actually. And the benchmark product is actually half as rigid as a regular bike, okay? So I'm looking to make my bike as rigid as a regular bike. So with finite element analysis, we can really optimize this frame structure to give a great ride. And that's about engineering, but it's also about design geometry.
All right, the last question. Yes, in Japan, we cannot carry a bicycle on the train or bus because it is not considered as a baggage. If it's hoarded, is it considered baggage, and can I take it on the train or bus? Have you done any legal research in Japan?
Yeah, so I have done actually, and it is a folding bike, and you can take a folding bike on a train or a bus, providing it has a cover over the bike. That's the legal requirement, I believe, in Japan. Mm. So I think maybe when it has a cover over it, it can be considered luggage.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's it for your question. Thank you very much, James.
Thank you so much.
Oh, James. Oh, wait, you got one more. Do you have a plan to adopt Japanese e-bike regulation?
Yeah, so I'm looking to work with a supplier for my electric drivetrain. And the supplier of the electric drivetrain is a worldwide supplier, global supplier, and the drivetrain is configurable to each market. So the regulations will be automatically detected based off the geography of the user. And this is done through electronic verification through the mobile phone.
Okay, thank you very much, James. So many questions there. Okay, right. Yes, okay, the last company. Yes, the Flowmark.
Hello.
Jonathan, it's your
Hi.
turn, the last one. Okay, the Flowmark is a new hospital drip that easily and intuitively and reliable shows the flow rate. Yes, we will see it.
Okay, thank you very much, Maki. I'm the director and founder of Flowmark Limited. So the aim of the company is to improve the safety of healthcare infusions through pioneering devices and data analytics. So this is a video of a current hospital drip. So it conveys fluid from a bag on a pole through the drip, through some tubing into the patient. And the rate at which that infusion happens is very important clinically, but it's determined by somebody counting the number of drops falling through that window over the course of a minute. And through our own observations and through the literature, we know that that's very often done poorly. The studies show that patients are routinely over or under infused. 1 in 5 patients suffer complications through infusions. There's not very good data on fluid balance, and fluid overload patients, that is patients who get fluid too quickly, can cost an extra $17,000 US. In the UK, that's a total of $2 billion per annum. So this is our solution, the Flowmark consumable. It shows the flow rate with a simple float against a scale. There's no need to count drops. We have a granted patent in a number of territories, including Japan. It's made in exactly the same way as a current drip and costs about the same. And in our initial testing, it's 69% faster to set a infusion rate. That equates to about 27 US cents saved in nursing time per use, which is around $27 million in the UK every year. Drips are used everywhere globally. 80% of all hospital admissions use a drip. The market for these devices alone is over 2 billion. There's around 100 million units sold in the UK every year. We have an initial agreement in the UK with a licensee, and we have an overseas manufacturer to make them. And it's our aim to expand into further territories. We're competing against the standard drip, as I showed you earlier. So these cost around 50 US cents. The Flowmark consumable costs about the same, though it saves time and it's more accurate. But we also want to take on the infusion pump, which costs a lot more, $2,000 to $3,000. So the Flowmark consumable is obviously much cheaper, but for high-risk infusions, we can use it with the Flowmark regulator, which is a pipeline product that I'd like to tell you about in a second. The team is myself, a product designer, and I invented the Flowmark. There's James Kinross, a consultant clinician at Imperial College, who's the clinical lead, and Gianpaolo Fusari, another designer. We've been working together in healthcare design for 14 years for international clients and won international awards. And we've worked together for 4 years on the Flowmark. And our aim is to license the Flowmark consumable. We have the patents. We're gathering clinical evidence, but we also want to own the CE mark and the technical file as well as the tooling. So that means that the licensee only has to pay for manufacture and distribution, giving us a royalty of around 4 US cents per unit. We have a manufacturer and a UK licensee on board, but in parallel, we want to develop 2 further related products to pre-production level in 18 months. The first of these tackles infusion pumps. So these are used to deliver precision infusions. The market is worth $11 billion. But the big problem with infusion pumps, apart from them being quite confusing to use, is that they don't actually know how fast the fluid that they're pumping is flowing. This means that they're vulnerable to back pressures. So if the patient stands up, or if the bag empties, or if there's some sort of slight block or resistance in the flow, the pump doesn't know that, and the flow rate will change without it knowing it. So we want to combine the FlowMark consumable that you saw earlier with simple electronic sensing to sense that float position as it rises and falls. This means that we could automatically regulate flow with a simple feedback loop. Whereas a pump would cost £2,000 to £3,000, we estimate our regulator, FlowMark regulator, would cost about $900. We think that the savings to the UK NHS would be around $68 million in capital cost alone. But what's more exciting is what you can do with the data. We'll be able to sense the flow rate of fluids going into a patient, but also through a catheter, we could sense flow rates coming out of a patient. And that means for the first time, a world first, we will be able to sense fluid balance in real time and automatically. No one's been able to do this before, and fluid balance is extremely clinically significant. We'll be able to take that data and train an algorithm to provide deep learning. This would enable doctors to predict patient harm, to give prescribing insights linked to fluid balance, and also give business intelligence for pharmaceuticals. And if we're able to reduce that implication of fluid overload for patients, we would save the NHS $2 billion per annum in reduced hospital stays. We've already begun work on the consumable. That's the first 3 rows. We're going to be doing pilot manufacture towards the end of this year, the start of next year. But what we're really interested in is the development of the FlowMark regulator, the hardware, and the artificial intelligence, the software. So in summary, we have a licensee on board, but we want to turn this component into a platform technology to provide data analytics for patient benefit. So we're seeking mentors and expertise and connections, and for that reason, we want to be included in the KGAP Plus Accelerator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Yes, it's a great challenge, I think. Well, question we have, okay, got. Is it disposable or can it be used repeatedly? The accuracy of the flow meter are high enough? So one by one. So is it disposable or can I use repeatedly?
So it echoes the, it's the same as a standard model. So the consumable part, the white plastic part, that is consumable. So that's single use, which is just like normal hospital drips. But the electronic component of it, that's reusable. So the consumable part is used inside the reusable part, just like a normal drip is used inside a electronic pump.
Okay, next question. Is the accuracy of the flow meter high enough? Reliability of the flow measuring instrument is very important. Are you able to ensure sufficient reliability?
Yes, I've done extensive bench testing on this. Actually, the more important element of the accuracy is, does it work for different fluids of different viscosities? So if a fluid is quite thick or quite viscous, does it still work? Because the problem with lots of infusion devices is that they only work for certain types of fluid. We've managed to improve our design over the course of a few years to mean that it would work for any fluid, any infusion fluid. And we, at the moment, are claiming within 10% accuracy of the electronic pump, and that's just for the consumable part of it. This would obviously increase when we add the electronic components to it.
Okay, and another question. It's an interesting question. Yeah, I suppose that this technology can be used in a different field. Do you ever think another industry?
To be honest, I did think it might be used in different fields, but I didn't know what. So I'd be very, very interested to get any advice on that. I think in some manufacturing industries where flow rate is important in how you make something, it could be applicable there. But yeah, effectively what we have is a very cheap, very accurate, low cost, potentially disposable, but doesn't have to be, flow meter, which no one's done before.
Yeah, very good. All right, no more questions, I think. Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. Well, the program came to the end. Yeah, thank you for joining today. But yeah, more selection rounds are scheduled for KGAP Plus Batch 6. So India Challenge on the next Monday, and the Japan Challenge, it's scheduled on October 15th. Canada, October 20th, and Europe 28th, and Israel November 1st. Yeah, many. Go.
You forgot to say Indian challenge.
Oh, sorry. India Challenge. Yeah. Next Monday. Yes, the latest one is. So go a world tour together. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining today. Yeah, it's finished. See you again soon. Next Monday, probably. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
RCA team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuki-san, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
organising it.
Thank you. It's really high quality startups. Yes.
Yeah.
Quite impressed. Yes.
Thank you for organising that. It's a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye
See you
now.
soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.